Hello, everybody. Welcome to what month is it? December. It's a December edition of the Kentuckiana FileMaker Developers Group. You would know, you would, the number of times I've said the wrong month when I've done these intros is kind of funny. But so this is our special December 16th date. Normally, for those of you watching on YouTube, normally we meet the fourth Tuesday of every month. You can check us out at kyfmp.com. We're here live starting at 12:30 Eastern time on the fourth Tuesday of every month. We encourage you all to join us live and in person and be a part of the conversation. We welcome anybody who has any interest in FileMaker, whatever your level is. And today we're going to go ahead and introduce our presenter. Today we have Vince Manano, who is going to present for us, and I'm going to just go ahead and turn it over to Vince.
Thank you, Ron. And yeah, so this presentation I'm going to be giving is presentation I've given uh, in the past. It's regarding technical debt, but it's also covering a tool called InspectorPro that we released for free earlier this year, actually. And so this, because it's a small group, I would invite anybody to, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and just ask directly, because I probably will not be able to see the question thread in the chat, etc. So let me go ahead and share my screen and let me know if you can. So here's the screen share. You should see a slide
Yep, you
called,
can see it.
okay, so okay. So let's see here where to start. Uh, all right. Well, technical debt. That's the kind of the highlight or the focus of this talk. And it's interesting. I sometimes refer to technical debt, but we'll see how this evolves. So
or how I can be my own worst enemy.
yeah, there's an interesting parallel there. This is my official title at Beeswax. This is how you can reach me. Things I like to do: traveling, architecture, sharp knives, parking backwards, precision engineering, data visualization, and AI, and all the different possibilities that AI kind of gives us. And it's like I was saying before when we started with Ron, there's no turning back at this point. AI is the train, it's left the station, and it's accelerating very rapidly. It is definitely going to change many aspects of our lives in different ways, and the coding ways is probably most profound and taking shape as we watch it unfold. So I'm the author of Inspector. Again, you can download it from the Beeswax site. Um, we decided to give it away as a free tool just because we felt that the exposure that it gives us as a company also maybe helps us, you know, dive into situations where clients see the overwhelming uh, complexity of their systems and want to improve them and need help, or they have, they want to document their systems better and need help with integration with Git or whatnot. So if there's any situation that you or anyone watching this recording see that we can also help out, please reach out to us. We have a blog. It's very popular. There's all kinds of posts on it from different people at different times, contribute to it. It's a large team at Beeswax. I lost count, but at some point we're over 100 people, and there's a web team, there's a Tableau team, data visualization team, IT, management, FileMaker. So there's different skill sets, and AI was also as well. So there's different skill sets and different blog articles from different categories of where we focus. So technical debt, as I like to refer to it, is technical death. And the reason I kind of mix up those terms is because as you will see, what if one day you came into work and a client asks you, can you take a look at my system? And I just need you to make a few changes. And you start exploring this system and you start realizing, like, wow, this system is really, really huge. What is this? And the more you start exploring, the larger, uh, the rabbit hole goes and gets deeper and deeper. Now, I'm not gonna play this whole video because right now we're at 35%, and you get to see this in action here. Every time you zoom out, it redraws the screen, and there's hundreds and hundreds of table occurrences. And if you're not, the person working on this day to day, this is definitely gonna, scare you, and you probably want to run away from it. But it's at 18% now, and I'll fast forward this. It's going to go down all the way to 3%. And so, like, we're at 4%. It's still redrawing. You're still waiting for it to redraw before you can zoom out. This is a perfect example of what technical death means. And the reason I refer to it like that is that when you're dealing with code complexity, and you need to dive in and understand, like, how is this code put together, you can't make any significant progress unless you're of course the person who's authored this, and every day you work here, and it's all that. But let's say even the person who's worked on this, they come back to it a year later. There's you got to be a special person to understand where all this stuff, where all the skeletons are buried. um so in that sense, like, getting in here and trying to do any productive work is going to be almost impossible. And there are a lot of systems that are in a state like this. So that's one topic. I just want to compare a personal story. This was my mom's home before she passed away, and she couldn't throw anything away. And if you think about it, there's a pile of stuff. And if you had to sort through this stuff and say, which do I keep, which do I not keep? You pick up the paper towel roll that's in the middle of the pile, and you think to yourself, okay, this should go in the kitchen. So you take that, you move it to the kitchen. It takes you 10 seconds to get there, place it in a cupboard, and now you're dealing with the next item. You're not going to have the physical amount of time that's available in one day to sort through all these items. It's just physically impossible. So in the example before, if you try to think of everything and try to understand, like, where is this connected? What is its purpose? You're or trying to understand how to make progress in figuring out one thing. You might have code that's connected to something else, and then you're trying to understand why that custom function is that way. Before you know it, you come to a certain point in the day where you need to go pick up your kids, and you haven't made progress on your task. And so it's really a challenge, and you have to deal with this head on early. And it's not going to get any better. And Ward Cunningham was the person who coined the term technical debt. He was also the co-author of the manifesto for agile software development. So he coined the technical debt term in 1992. And technical debt, if you saw the barcode there, the QR code, that was from Wikipedia, and you can read up more about the term over there on Wikipedia. But the basic idea is that you kind of relating it to going into debt, meaning, like, you move quickly, you trade code quality for being able to deliver something quickly, but the code is left in a kind of a not so great state, and you have to pay off that debt down the road. This is Adam Thornhill is one of my favorite speakers on this topic of technical debt. And his presentation is the business impact of code quality. If you've never watched this, if there's one thing you do after this presentation is I encourage you to go listen to this speaker, especially this talk in particular. This business impact of code quality. Moving too quickly, does that sound familiar? In FileMaker, we can, burn a trail ahead of us and just, add fields, add, schema to our heart's content. You see a new technique, you just go ahead and add the fields. Maybe they're repeating fields, you add the script and all this. And then you realize like, well, maybe that's not a good way to do this. And maybe there's a better way to architect it. So then you just abandon that approach and now you go do something else and it's all using virtual table, but you've never cleaned up those fields that you just added. So it's like, cooking in a kitchen and not cleaning up after yourself. It's really a habit that you need to instill to be able to, distill down only the code that you end up, using and remove and document it properly. So we trade code quality for delivering something too quickly. Now, in Adam's talk, he talks about the business impact. And so, for example, I'll give you like a company that makes pizza and their restaurant, they're in business. There's two companies. One has a database of, the pizza deliveries that they make or pizza orders. And now there's this big trend where, you have people coming in to order pizzas and picking them up and delivering them with Uber Eats or whatever, flavor of the month. And you look at you get your technical team to look at that API and say, hey, can you set it up so that we can deliver our pizzas using Uber Eats? And one code base is like the code base we saw early, just a couple of slides ago, just total mess, right? And another code base is very, very organized and clean and efficient. And you have this person who's very disciplined and keeping the code base in that state. They go in, they'll look at it and say, hey, yeah, no problem. We can get this done. We can get it wired up. You'll be able to deliver pizzas tomorrow. I don't think the people in that other code base would make the progress as quickly as the other company. So that's a perfect example of the business impact. The business now loses that opportunity to sell more pizzas, let's say. And so it has an impact directly on their business, the quality of their code, the state of their code. So our code ends up in a worse place than we started. So segue to a tool that helps you manage technical debt, and that's where InspectorPro comes into the picture. It's a tool for collaboration. It's performant, and it gives you insights into your code base. So it has, in this version in 9, we added GitHub and GitLab support. We have an add-on to be able to basically bolt it into your system so that you can trigger it right from your file, your solution. We have Slack integration. We have some cool AI features. We can generate script summaries. We can also do semantic script searching by the fact that the script summaries exist, and I'll cover that. We have multi-user collaboration. So if you have a team of people, what you can do is you can create different users and assign users as members to a solution. So only those people who are members of a solution can see that solution. Obviously at Beeswax, we're a large team, so we definitely take advantage of that feature. Tags and notes, we have Logicator and global search capabilities. We have problem and history tracking. Actions and notifications got added in 9, and that is one of my favorite features. I mean, apart from the fact that it runs really super fast because we've switched over to using Save a Copy as XML. And then it's got this global multi-analysis visualization that keeps you informed as to the state of your code base. Like, especially if you're trying to track down problems and solve them, you can get a visualization of like how you're doing on that progress. So there's much more. We probably will not have enough time to cover everything today. So again, it is free. It's available on the Beeswax website. So you can just download it. You'll get an activation code emailed to you, and you can start using it right away. It's Mac and Windows. Sorry, Mac and Linux. We are still working on the Linux, the Windows side. All right, so let's just look at what changed in 8 when we switched to save as XML, save a copy as XML. For the longest time, what we've had is the DDR, which is the database design report. You choose it from so you choose the database design report from the tools menu, and that has been the thing that most people have used for the longest time. And that is XML, the XML representation of your schema, all your items. And the thing that's different about it is that there were in version 8, they introduced catalogs, which the catalogs were there before, but they were not represented in the output of the XML that was generated. And the reason why that's a big deal is because when we switch to Inspector 8 and 9, what we do is we scan the catalogs, and we can tell what areas of the system has been modified. So the first analysis is going to grab everything. So that's going to take a few minutes. And then every subsequent analysis just finds the deltas. And that means that it's just going to find, let's say you added a script, the script catalog has changed. We scan the scripts, we find the script that's changed, we document it, we're done. That's literally a few seconds. Now, the difference between 7 and 8 is that 7 did not have that capability. So every time you ran an analysis, we gobbled up everything. And so you can imagine after a system that is moderate complexity, you're going to end up with millions and millions of rows in different tables. The size of the inspector file is going to grow to gigabytes. And every import is just going to get slower and slower because there's also fields that are indexed in different tables. And so the processing time is just going to get slower and slower. So not only is it slower, it's bigger, it's slower, and it just takes more time to process each one. So 8 and 9 take the approach of using the save a copy as XML. So literally, once you're in a system working, you can run it, it gets out of the way, and you're back to work. Or you can just set up script schedule that runs every 5 minutes and documents and finds all the changes and documents what's changed. So compare 7 to 8. If you had to do 100 analyses, it might take you up to 18 hours to get that done. With 8 and 9, you could be talking about you can run 100 analyses in one day. You're going to get it all done in 10 minutes. Every time you make a change, you run it, it gets out of the way, and you're back to work. So it's a game changer, especially in different situations where you need to document systems and how they're constructed so that if people are making changes, they can see a script and say, oh, this script is referenced in 10 places. I'm adding some parameters. It's going to affect these other places. So let me retrofit all those places where that script is called. So now we're getting consistent parameters being passed into the script. So having that information at your fingertips is essential to manage, a code base that needs to continue to be maintained. So what's different about Save a Copy as XML is that we have these sections in the catalogs. We have these attributes that are added not only to the catalog entries, but to the individual items themselves. So you'll have a catalog that'll be a script catalog, and the script catalog will have a modification count. It'll say who the user was that last modified it, the account name, the timestamp of the last change, and the UUID that represents that item uniquely. So if I make another change to a script, the catalog also gets updated. And so when we scan the first pass as we scan the catalogs, we can say right away, hey, okay, this script got changed, this catalog got changed. Let's scan all the scripts. Which of the scripts is new or modified, or which one has been deleted? And we do that work and we're done. So again, we're not needing to import everything every time. We basically, surgically go in, find the changes that need to be documented, document them, and then be out of there. So unfortunately, not all the items have a modification count, a username, account name, etc. So most of the items, like value lists, tables, fields, scripts, layouts, etc. But the items that don't have all these attributes, like for example, layout objects, script steps, and custom menu items, they don't have all these attributes. They will have a UUID, and they will have what is called a hash. And the hash is a way to know that this object, all the details about that object have changed or not. And so you can tell that by the hash. So unfortunately, you'd have to rely on those hashes at those lower levels, but otherwise you can tell by the modification count. So any questions so far? Nope. Okay, cool. So so again, these are the items, these are the attributes that are available both at the catalog level and at the item level. So the integration, we have an add-on that you can import into your solution, and I show it here in this video. Basically, you install the add-on, and choosing the add-on, it'll install a table, a few scripts, a layout, and when you click on it, you'll basically just need to configure it. You give it the solution ID that gets generated by Inspector. You put in that. You'll put in your settings. So you'll put in your server address, and that's it. Once you have your server address, you put in your solution ID number that again was entered, and then when you type a message, you hit return. It automatically runs a script on server. It'll generate the XML on the server, and it also has a way to generate the XML for all the other related files. And there's instructions on how to do that. So
Where's
that
the solution ID come from, Vince?
that's from Inspector. So Inspector, so for example, Inspector here, this is the solution ID on the left. Okay, so once you generate a solution by clicking New Solution, you'll get a new row in here. And that solution ID is what you enter over here. Okay, and once you've got that done, you can run the analysis from here or from Inspector. So Inspector can also kick off the generation of XML for your file. As long as it's hosted on the same server, you can actually get it to run the XML. And the beauty of that is that that's the fastest way to use it, because the save a copy as XML is scriptable and is server compatible, which means that when you run it, you can do a PSOS script to run on server, generate the XML, and then it's all configured so that it knows to call back to Inspector and say, hey, I just generated XML. It's at this location. It's for this solution. Start working on it. So that will then hand off processing to Inspector to process it. Oh, does that answer your question? Okay, so adding users. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I'll just quickly go through it. You can click the user button, add a new user, and over here you can specify the name of the person, their email address, their account name, and then there's two privilege sets. There's InspectorPro user, and there's InspectorPro admin. If you choose the user option, you can allow the user to create and edit and delete their own solutions, so they can create their own solution records in Inspector. If you don't do that and you leave it unchecked, then that user can only get to see solutions that they have become a member of. So right now, if you turn that on, then that user, if they're assigned as an InspectorPro user, then they can create their own. But if you're an InspectorPro admin, then you can do anything. You can create any one of the solutions. You can see any of the solutions. You can delete any of the solutions. You can actually clear out all the data as well. Slack member ID and access token, get access token. I can cover that a little bit more later. All right. So once you've created the user, the next step would be to assign them as a member. And there's a member column. You can see the members. You can add the user that you've just defined, and then you've selected the users, selected the role. Now they're a member of that solution, and they can log in and see that solution. So that's how you can add users to Inspector to be part of a different solution. So where it gets interesting is when you're dealing with problems. So for example, let's say looking at this system, and if I open up the dashboard to it, I'll see that it has no problems right now. But if I go look at a table, the artist table, it has 16 fields. I have a field called delete me. It has 3 references to it. We have a kind of a dependency explorer, but we also have a way to see the list of references that field is being referenced. So in this case, it's on a layout, it's in a script, it's in a value list. If I go look at that system and I go to the schema and I go to the artist table, I see the field. If I delete it here, FileMaker gives me a warning, right? And I can confirm this warning that says, oh, this field is being used in a script. And it's not completely, you cannot rely on FileMaker to warn you all the time. So if the field was used, it's in a value list, you will not get a warning. You'll just get you want to delete this field. Okay, delete it. It's gone. You won't get a warning, this other warning that tells you like, oh, by the way, you're using this field in this script. Are you sure you want to delete it? If in some cases you can't even delete it because the field is used in a calculation, it won't let you delete it. But if you're hell bent on deleting the field, you can always hold the option key down. So here I hold the option key down, I press delete, the field is gone. No warning whatsoever. You know what you're doing. FileMaker lets you kind of override those messages, and now the field is gone. Now, if I go to, if I remove the field, now what will happen is when I run the analysis, I'll see now I've introduced 3 problems over here. And if I go look at the problem report by clicking on the emoji that shows up with the problems, I'll see that sure enough, it's gone on the layout, it's gone in the script, and it's gone in the value list. All right, so I've introduced those 3 problems simply by, not doing something with in an informed manner. So you just go off and delete something that you don't think is being referenced anywhere. Again, a good way to think about this is the worst thing is, like there's other tools like FM Perception and Base Elements. The worst thing you can do is just not use any tool. I would highly recommend you using something to keep track of the complexity of the systems that you work with. So fast forward to fixing problems. So like in this case, we've introduced those problems. Now we can go and look at those problems and fix them. So in this case, we know it's the value list. And so we'll go first to fix the problem on the layout. It tells us it's the artist layout. There's the field it's missing. So it showed up as a field missing. In some cases, FileMaker actually cleans that up, and not in every case. Here's the value list. We'll go in and we'll choose a different field, and we'll fix that problem by now assigning it a different field. And then the last one is going to be the script. A script called some API script. There's the field, step 13. Choose a different field, and We'll save it. And now when we run it, we're going to see that the problem count over here will drop down back down to 0. So now it's running on the server, it's processing it, and now the problems are gone. Okay, so that's kind of like a quick review of, you know, how quickly it is to instill problems, and how this tool can help you track down those problems and resolve them. Any questions so far? Nope. Okay. Let me show you. Let me digress a moment here and show you something, because that field that you saw when we looked at it, like over here, this field missing, right? That field missing. So FileMaker has an interesting behavior that's changed. And so for the longest, so if I create a new file and I put it on my desktop. Okay, so let's say I have this file, and I'll put a field on here, and some of you will see the field gets added, right? And if you look in the settings and schema, update layouts when schema changes, right? Add newly defined fields to the current layout. So if I have this option on, when I add a new field, it'll show up on the layout. This one is an exception. So like if I have it on now, or if I add a new field, like I'll do 1, and now 1 shows up. If I take that feature off, turn that feature off, now I'll add another field. 2 does not show up. Okay. Let me go ahead and duplicate this layout a few times. Let me actually do it this way. So I have the same layout like 10 times with the same objects in the same place. So I'll go into the schema. So let me first confirm that that option is on. So there's update layouts when schema changes. So if I go into I'm on the first layout, and I go make a change to the schema, and I go delete this field called 1. It's on the layout. I delete it and permanently delete the selected field. There's no warning about it being on a layout or anything. It just gives you the warning you want, confirmation that you want to delete the field. So I deleted it. Now that field is gone over here. That field usually would show up as, maybe they fixed it, but they would show up as field missing and on the other layouts. Now, if you turn this feature, so like if I go back in and the test field, let's do the test field. So like if I go into settings and I turn this option off, right? And now I go into the schema and I delete test. So I can hold the option key down, delete it, it's gone. Now the field is missing, and it's going to be missing on every layout. So this is this is separating out the schema changes from the layout changes, meaning that if I make a schema change, remember that slide I was showing where you had the modification count. So in the catalog, the field catalog, you'll see like, oh, this table for, the untitled table, or the table for this where this field lives, this had a change. And what was happening, the legacy behavior would be that for any layout where that field also existed, it would also update the layout catalog. And so what would happen is you did not make layout changes, but as a product of making a schema change, you indirectly made layout changes. So it would go through every layout and update the layout to remove the field. And it would also do the same thing if you had, for example, this field on here, and you had this label everywhere around this object in different places, right? So if you have the label around the field, however, if the label is far enough away, it would not change it. So if I go back to settings and I say schema, update layouts when schema changes. So I go to browse mode so that those changes are saved. I go to here and I'll mark this as 1, change it. So all these labels changed around the field. So it's not just one label that happens to be for the field. It's any text object that is in an elliptical area around the field will also get updated to another word, the label of the field, and it's like a force field. It's around here. You'll notice that these ones did not get changed. They're far enough away. So it's a little tidbit there for you to understand how that works. But again, if you turn that option off, then when I go and I make the change back to 2, right? It's not going to I make a schema change. It's not going to make any layout changes whatsoever anymore. So in a sense, like if you are very picky about your layout design and you don't, you have the field widths just set right, and you change a field to maybe a longer verbiage of the field, and you don't want FileMaker to make changes indirectly for you, you definitely want to turn that thing off. I want to don't want layout changes when schema changes happen. Any questions? I saw that.
That's interesting. That's interesting stuff. Like I didn't, I never knew that the details of that behavior. So
Yeah. So like you could let's see, where is it? Shapes. Let's say an oval. So you could literally draw an oval like this. And, if you get, the right distance and settings, this basically this force field around this field is where it will have impact on. So you can experiment with that and find out the distance, but it is kind of like an elliptical region around a field. So it's fun to play around with.
Once you edit a field label, though, doesn't it break that link?
What's that?
if you were to
Once
change
you
the field
manually
label,
edit a field label,
If you
link's
change the
broken.
field label, no, like as I pointed out, I made any text object. It doesn't matter. It's the text object that is matching the field name. So like if I like I change this field now, so let me change it back to 1. So 1. Okay. And now let me go, now they're all 1. Okay. And I can also change it. Let's say I put in a new text object and call it 1 and put it next to here, right? And now I go into that settings and make sure that update layout changes when schema changes. Make sure the layout is saved. Go back here. This is going to be 2. All right. So now they're all 2. It has nothing to do with like changing the label. So now the link is broken. It's just a text object that has the name of that field in that elliptical region. And it's not because this one was the original label and now these ones have nothing to do with it. And
No,
that
that's
has
what I'm
nothing.
saying. If you named one of those fields George, it wouldn't change, would it?
Yeah, it wouldn't change it. So obviously, like if this was 3, right? Now, if I go back to browse mode and I make this 4, right? Now it's going to change all the 2s to 4s, but it's not going to change the 3.
yeah. So it's about the
Right.
field label being synchronized with the field name.
Yeah,
So
yeah, in that region. So
yeah,
anyway, little
interesting. And by the way,
tidbit.
I thought my video was off when my wife came and kissed me goodbye. So
It's okay.
no,
It's nice. It's endearing. It's beautiful.
oops.
All right. Okay, so that kind of gives you some insight. And so the legacy behavior, and this is why I was a little bit surprised. And I don't know what version, maybe they corrected it, but the legacy behavior was that if you had the field on different layouts, what it would do is it would scan the layouts and it would say, oh, you want me to update the layouts, and I see it deleted this field. Let me make sure that I delete the field on those layouts. what was happening was on one layout, it would be gone. On another layout, it would say field missing. On another layout, it would be gone, et cetera, et cetera. So it wasn't even consistent. It looks like they might have fixed it, but I'm not 100% sure, et cetera. But anyway, now you know a little bit the history behind it, and why they ended up adding this here is so that when you make changes to fields, you're not automatically automatically allowing FileMaker to make changes also to your layouts without you doing those changes, right? So that's why that's like that. All right. So next, notifications, actions and notifications. This is really cool. We added this this little bell icon up here, and that allows you to specify actions to happen on a solution level. You can have actions happen on an item level or at a group level. So like if I create an action at this level, I can say I want to create a new notification. That notification will allow me to say any field, when any field is added, created, modified, or deleted in any file or in this file, right? And I can create this action. And this is like a type of action we called any, right? And at some point you can choose whether you want to Slack or message a person. The other types of actions you can create. So I can go to a specific script and I can say when this script is changed. So for example, let's say I have this script and it's an API script that integrates with AWS. What I can do is I can define an action for this script. So when this script is changed, right, when it's modified, I will get a Slack notification, right? So I create that. So now I have two notifications in this part of this solution. I can create also a different kind of notification, which is based on a set of items. So instead of having to do each one individually, I can say these are two API layouts, and I want to create a notification for the found set of items. So I can call these are API layouts. When any of these items are changed, send me a Slack notification. So now I have the three different types at the solution, like, and I can manage those at the solution level. I can go to see the list of notifications. I have an any notification, I have a group notification, and I have a this notification. So this item or any field. Again, this can be very powerful, and I'll explain why in a second. So now if I go ahead and make a change in that solution, I'll go and make a change to the I guess I will delete that field, that delete me field, and it will break the script. So this is very interesting because what I just explained about layouts being not updating because I made schema changes, you just noticed I introduced a bug in the script. So in a sense, I broke the script or changed the script, but I didn't really change the script. I broke it indirectly. So I run the analysis and you'll see a notification pop up. Now that item that was watched sends me a notification. That's because Inspector is keeping track of all these places where an item is referenced. And because something got removed, it knows to update that place where it was referenced. And because it did that, it knows to also send a notification because you subscribe to a notification for when that item is changed. So what just happened is incredibly powerful because I did not directly change the script. The script got changed as a byproduct of something else, but you still got the notification. So I mean, I wish we had this kind of capability built in to FileMaker, honestly, especially for systems that are very critical. And you don't, like, if you have multiple people working on them, you want to be notified of like any changes to the AWS script that connects to S3 or whatever. It's got to be up and running and no one should change it. So that said, you could also install a copy of Inspector on a production server, run a schedule once a night to just run it. And if there's no changes to the files, then it will just run and it'll be done almost immediately. However, if there is a change, you can create a notification to let you know that the file hash of the file, the XML file, has changed, which means that there was a change somewhere in that file. Like something changed in the file, whether it was a script, a value list, a field, whatnot. And because of that, it can send you a notification. So in the cases where you work with a client, the client has full access, and they say, I swear I didn't change anything. You have a perfect situation to then look into Inspector and see well, it looks like you changed this layout. So that's a tool that can help you with that.
So Vince, is there,
Yeah,
Vince,
go ahead.
is there a way to take and find out what changes a given developer made?
Yeah, yeah.
For instance,
I'll,
I mentor a bunch of junior developers. It'd be nice to see what they're doing, what they screwed up or not.
yes, yep. You can so again, going back to the slide I presented before, which is, where was it? This one. So you'll get the modification count, the username, the account name, and a timestamp of a changed item. Now, like, you won't get it at the script step level, you'll get it at the script level. However, there is enough details that we can also say what steps were changed. So if you run it frequently, then you'll be able to tell exactly what changed and by who. So we'll take a look at that in just a second. Yeah, sorting styles. This one is kind of like interesting if you deal with styles and you're familiar with styles. This is, I'm going to kind of speed through this a little bit. So there's on this layout called style example, we've got the number of objects, the number of default styled objects, the number of theme styled objects, the number of layout styled objects, and the number of locally styled objects. So if you're familiar with styles in FileMaker, you have a theme, and if you start dragging a field on a layout, it's going to use the default style for that theme. But if you save styles to the theme, then you're using theme styled elements. And the reason, and then if you put a field on a layout and you make changes to it, that's locally changed or locally styled. If you save it as a style, but you don't save it into the theme, it's saved as part of the layout. So there's a payload that comes with the layout, and that styling information for that field in particular is pulled down from the layout. So the reason this has impact is because if you're sloppy and you don't give things a style, then it has to do extra work to say, oh, okay, this is locally styled. Here's the local style for it, etc. So it has to do this extra work to generate how that thing looks like. And so here's an example where we look at this file. It's got 100 objects on it. And some of these are theme styled, some of these are default styles, and some of these are layout and local. So these ones down here, these are layout styled. These ones in green, I believe, those ones are locally styled. And you can tell by looking at this little red arrow over here, because this hasn't been saved as a style. So this would go away, and this would then show red over here. So these are local style. The ones in blue were layout styled, and then we had default and theme. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and change these so that we change the ones over there to be default styled, and we change the red one, the other ones below, to be theme styled. So now what's going to happen is this number 31 and this number 100 on this second row, once you run it, and again, you can run the analysis right from Inspector using, in this case, we're using window names as the integration method. So it'll generate the XML for the window that's open with full access called styles. It'll send that XML to the server. It'll process it. And then once it's processed, you'll see these numbers just flip. So we corrected all the local styled ones and all the layout styled ones. So those are all gone. Now they're all just over here. So that's another way that with using this tool iteratively, you can correct code and see the the changes almost in real time. So all right, dropping indexes, I'm gonna skip over this, but basically from Inspector, we're using OData and you can drop the indexes. However, if you do that using this technique, if you have a field and the indexing is set to all and you drop the indexes, what also happens with OData is it removes this option. And when you remove that option, if you search on that field in the future, it will not automatically create an index. I reported this to Claris. I don't know if they'll fix it so that they'll leave that option or they give you the option to be able to say drop the indexes but keep this on. I'm not sure, but just be aware that if you do use that option to delete the fields, and so that is available when you go to the field section and you go look at in here, you'll see these fields are indexed. And if you go to Inspector, you'll see this little icon over here. You can enter the host address, the account name and password for an account that has OData enabled. And using OData, you can run it. I can on the selected record or on the found set of records, and you can say drop. And when you go look at it, the field index is gone. But that field index not only is gone, but the auto create index thing is also unchecked. So be careful if you use that. All right, I'm going to skip ahead. Tags are very cool. You can put tags on anything. And so if you're working with someone to help you refactor some system, you can manage tags at the solution level. Here you can enter a tag that you want to add. So for example, I want to enter the word rethink, and I'll create a new tag. I'll give it a style, a color. I'll add it. Now these are all the tags that are available. If I go select a script, I can say I want to add a tag to that script and choose the tag. And this option up here where it says tags, I can hide or show the tags. And so I can also add tags anywhere. But the benefit of this is that if you've tagged different things, when you go to do a search, a global search, it'll globally search across everything for for that word, and you can find things that you've marked with a specific tag. So you can also search it using Logicator, and so it'll isolate those scripts. You can delete the tags and the current tag or the found set, and it removes all the tags that were in the found set in this case. Okay, so tags are cool. Notes work in the same way. So you can put a note or a comment on something. This is, I think the notes thing is kind of interesting because with notes and tags, once you've added the notes and tags and you've been analyzing this solution and you've got like 500 analyses or hundreds or thousands of analyses, if you reset the solution, it'll remove all the data, but it won't remove. You can have the option to remove the tags or notes or keep them. So if you put tags on specific scripts and those scripts show up in the next analysis that you start again, those tags reconnect themselves. The notes and the tags reconnect themselves and show up. So if you've invested the time to put notes and tags on things and those things still exist, those notes and tags will show up again. Okay, we saw a little bit of global search by searching for tags. So I'm going to skip over that. Getting help from AI. This is very cool. So what we do with AI when we released Inspector 8 is we added it was very easy for us to add an ability to generate embeddings. And by generating an embedding, we then can also search on it semantically. But the way we generate embeddings is first we send AI all the script steps of a script. So we turn the script into like a textual document of what that script is doing. And a lot of people in the community say, well, you could just send the XML of the script. And you could, however, it's probably going to be 15 times more expensive. So doing it with Inspector is probably the most efficient and the least costly. So if someone is unmuted, please mute yourself. I don't know. I don't know. Everybody's muted. Oh, maybe it's me. Oh, it's Marty. Oh, there you go. Thank you. So there's three, it's, each one of like I did this experiment with ChatGPT where I sent it the textual representation of the scripts, the XML version, and a PDF version. So you can also go to Script Workspace and print the script and get a PDF and send that to AI and ask it to give you a summary. But so I went through this whole process. I'm going to just quickly go through this. But the text version is 8 kilobytes, the XML version 139 kilobytes, the PDF version is actually even bigger. So this is what they look like. So there's the PDF version, here's the XML version, and here's what Inspector will generate. So you ask AI for help. Perfect. This is a great way to compare efficiencies and costs. And AI gives you kind of like some insights here. So the XML version, approximate number of tokens, 25,000 to 30,000. The PDF version is 6,000 tokens, and the text version is basically the cheapest one. So it'll cost you 3 cents to get a summary of a moderately sized script versus 15 cents if you just send it the XML. And plus, again, you're using a lot more tokens. It takes a little bit longer, but anyway, so there's that. I'm not going to belabor this point, but that's, kind of like it takes less time. So the cost, the ease of understanding, etc. There's a lot to dig into each one of these. The text is excellent. The PDF is also good, but human readability of the XML is a little bit, unless you deal with XML a lot, it's hard to sift through the tags to see the code. Okay, so then just also more analysis on there, and then overall recommendation. Cost efficiency for LLMs. The text one is, in short, the best solution. All right, so sorry I went through that quickly because I want to show you some cool thing that I'm experimenting with, and that is I built MCP connection to Inspector, and what I can do is I can feed it a text like this. Can you give me script details for solution ID 6? The name is InspectorPro, and the script is R reset to demo. Can you tell me what the script is doing? Analyze it for any issues or suggestions for improvements. Note that the steps that are disabled are not included, so you will see some steps missing, and that is okay. So I fire it off, and it gets to work. And using N8N to connect to Inspector, it finds the right tool, it sends those three parameters. So what it needs to find. And so here is, so it's got the data, it analyzes it. So this is kind of like a bad example because I ran it before. So it's using the previous insight, but I could give it another script and it would, get the parameters together, send it to the tool, run, that tool would run, it would search that solution, that file, that script. It would return all the steps in the script and then give me the insights on issues with that script. So let's try it on another script. So let's go to here. Give me 1 second. Let me find another script. Oops. Oh, where is it? Script workspace. And just I'll search on it. Here, am I still sharing my screen? Did I stop sharing? I think I did.
Yeah. Yes, I believe
Yeah.
you did. Oh, there you go.
Okay. Okay. So let me just let me change this prompt to be the other script that we're going to do and then resend this prompt. So this is going to be the same prompt. So I'm going to do a new I'm going to do a new how do you say, a new chat. I'll put in the same information, the same ID, same file. It's just a different script, and I'm going to ask it to go look at that script. So now it's going to see that it hasn't seen this script before. So it's going to go pull. It's going to go run that tool that will basically send those parameters over, and then that tool will return the steps for that script, hopefully. So here's going to return the step details. Now it's going to run the tool. There's the parameters. Okay, now it's going to get the steps for that. And that's all, this is happening on the fly. So now it's getting the response. Here's all the steps for that script, and it's thinking about that script. And so basically, like we were saying early on in this conversation, I'll get some insights about this script and I can have a conversation about it. Tell me like how to improve it, what problems are there, like from a maybe programmatic standpoint, all kinds of information. It does, think about it. So it does take a little bit of time to run, but the beauty is that you're actually getting insights into your code that might be helpful to build your code in a better way. So we'll let it complete its process here. Any questions while we're waiting?
And at the moment, just
Nope. Okay.
just
Okay.
taking it all in. So
All right. Cataloging script architecture, identifying performance concerns, and there we go. So the purpose of this script, the script collects and formats FileMaker script steps. This is funny because this is the script that I'm calling to I think part of it, or this is a separate script that uses the same thing to generate the summaries for AI. So in a sense, this is the script that is being called to generate those summaries. So it's finding some inefficient error handling while error capture on, no checking and get last error after critical operations. I mean, some of this is going to be, stuff that you might say, well, I don't need to do that, etc. But the fact that this is even possible is really mind blowing, you know. And this is just opening the door to the potential in the future to say, take this script and actually write me something more performant and improve it. And then having, a dedicated model that understands FileMaker and how it works and how to write code, etc. So, I mean, this is, in my opinion, this is incredible. So, cool. Anyway, there's that
great.
this is something that we're exploring right now, and it is working, but we'll hopefully document that and how you can take advantage of that shortly. And then I'll skip this and I'll go directly to let's see, the get stuff. So is this get? Can't remember. Oh, here. No, this is direct integration. Dashboards. Oh, let me talk about dashboards real quick. So dashboards, when you have a lot of solutions, sorry, a lot of analyses. So in this case, I'm looking at the last 100 analyses that actually have changes into them. I can see and I can interact with the visualization to show me, like, just show me any code that's been modified. Show me any code that's been modified or deleted, etc. So I can see at a glance how much work is being done. Is there a lot of code that's being modified? Is there a lot of code that's being added? Is there, I can focus on different areas, right? So and again, these analyses, they don't take long to run, so long as you run them frequently. If you wait 2 weeks and you do hundreds or thousands of changes, then it will take time to run and document all the things that have changed. We also have an ability to look at problems, either problems on items or calculation problems. And so if you have a lot of problems and you're trying to refactor that code to resolve the problems, you can focus on just the problems and see what progress you're making or the team is making on tackling those problems. And so this is at the high level dashboard overview of the solution. And then lastly, I want to cover today is the Get integration, because this is really powerful. So in this solution called We Sell Art, if we again go look at, there's a field that's in a script. This script has some problems. If we look at it in the representation in Get, we'll see right here, right, that line 12, right? You'll see that the field is missing, right? So set field, artist, : field missing to 377. All right. So I'll go fix the problem in the system, right? So I'll go into We Sell Art. I go to the script. I'll choose the field. I'll choose another field. Also, I fix that. I'm going to add another comment to this comment here, another change here for that comment. I'll save it. I'll run it. I'll put in a comment. By the way, when you put in a comment and this goes to Git, that's the commit. That is what the commit message shows up in Git. So now if I look at this in Inspector, I'll see that the field does not have a problem. I'll see that that's looking okay. If I look at it in Git and look at the current state in Git, I'll see that step 12 now no longer has a set field missing, right? If I look at the blame view, I can look at step 12 and step 14 as being attributed to me with my commit message, fix a problem with a script, right? So that was my commit message when I just ran it. So what this view is doing is it's reconstituting the script document for this script, okay? And showing you all the different contributors who've contributed to it to be in its current state. So I can see that Vince changed it 23 minutes ago, step 13, 34 minutes ago, the other two steps below on analysis 275. So if you don't add a message in the commit, you just get which analysis this happened in. Otherwise, if you do add a message, then that's part of the commit message. So this is incredibly powerful, especially for, multi-development environments. You can also view it in what is called, look at the change history. So I can look at this by looking at the latest change history, and I can see side by side this script. So the script is showing you step 9 to 17, although there's more steps, but it's focusing in on the only changes that have actually showed up. So it's showing you step 9 through 17, and the two steps that have changed is step 12 and 14. And on the left, you see what it was before. On the right, you see the new change for both those steps. As a matter of fact, I can click here. I can add a comment. I can have a conversation about that step with my colleague and mention exactly what I need help with for that change. Let's say it's a curl command or something. Is this the right curl command? And so we can have a conversation back and forth on that single step in that script with your teammates who are also part on Git. So this is incredibly powerful to be able to see who changed what, where, etc. So we and just so you have some context, this is all within a web viewer, all within FileMaker. You don't have to go to Git to find the script, etc. This is embedded directly into FileMaker, and this can be made and revealed in any one of the areas, a field, a table, a script, a layout, all kinds of places. So you can get to see it side by side or in this view, which is stacked. Like what was it before? What is it now, etc. And with that, I'll pause it there and we can have some discussion, but I'm pretty much wrapped up at this point. That covers mostly what I wanted to cover and discuss, but happy to have a discussion about anything.
It's definitely very powerful. Like you're just taking it all in. I don't know if I've seen a presentation on this before, but it would have been a couple of years ago and I haven't used it. So it's a lot to absorb. But it does look like something I want to go and download and start working with, especially now that I have, Alex working with me. I could definitely see a huge amount of benefit when you've got multiple developers on a solution. So
Yeah, definitely. So, as a matter of fact, you know, if you come across a situation where, oh, this data got changed, what is the field? The field is like, I don't know, address field in such and such a table. Let me go find the field. Let me show the references to it. Oh, look at that. It's being changed by this script, and it's on this layout as an editable, enterable field. So
yeah,
those are your suspects. Like either someone can go to that layout, make a change to the data, or that script was run by somebody and and change the data there. So at least you have the places where that data is being modified. If you needed to lock it down, you could make sure that that script doesn't run, or remove the field from there, or change the field to be not enterable on the layout. And now you found a way to prevent it from being modified by the script. But if you want to, then you could also go the route of obviously setting up proper security so it's not modified under the different privileges, etc. So anyway, it's incredibly helpful. And I like to use the analogy, call before you dig. You ever seen those signs where like
yeah.
you don't want to be digging in your front yard and dig into a gas line, and have other kinds of problems, obviously. But you want to have, and you want to code and with informed decisions so that like you might think that that script is not being used, but that's your central navigation script. It's hooked up in like 300 places. Do not delete it. You're going to cause a mess. And then you're going to have to rehook it up in all those places. So it's a great way to prevent extra work for yourself, unless you like extra work, but then that's a separate story.
I was working in a system recently that looked vaguely like the demonstration you started off with.
Yeah.
Maybe not anywhere near to that magnitude, but we're all familiar with the spider web ERD and working in a system and some of my early systems looked very much like that. So, I don't have a whole lot of room to criticize, but I was working in a system that I was trying to work on rebuilding. And one of the things that I spent such an enormous time trying to figure out how the previous developer had everything hooked together and where all that stuff was. So I imagine a
Yeah.
tool like this would make that work a whole lot easier.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think, just in conclusion that, I think things are just going to get worse, not better. And what I mean
Yeah.
by worse, and in a sense that, we've always had the luxury of FileMaker being able to be really, a rapid application development tool. And with AI being at your side and beckon, that you can say, hey, write me some JavaScript code that does this or that, or just
Yeah.
copy it, paste it. Like I think the acceleration is only going to accelerate more code being generated, more, so you actually need to take a deliberate stance, you
Yeah.
know, and make it so that, you're always paying attention to refactoring and cleaning up and simplifying and I think again, I think the pace is only going to accelerate. So
Yeah. I think Alex had something he wanted to say.
Yeah, I was gonna say
yeah,
on that note, with nowadays everything's integrated. It's never just one singular thing. I'm not positive about FileMaker, but you have 50 different things integrating and running into each other, and one change is done on one part and it works great there, but then it hits an API or something and it doesn't fully sync up. And my experience with working with AI is it just doesn't always have the full scope. It rarely has the full scope, and
yeah,
yeah, forgets about, neglects all the other parts. So even having the change log and just having a full, I mean, as a developer, the most difficult thing for me is jumping into a project that's been built, by somebody else and trying to get the lay of the land, the way they did it, the way they set it off, their dependencies and libraries and stuff. So that's
yeah,
an incredible tool, man.
Yeah.
yeah. I think one thing that you touched upon that is worth mentioning is, so for example, if you have a layout that's being referenced by some API, right, that layout is not going to come up as a reference to you in this code because it's just saying, oh, this layout, but I don't see any script that calls this layout or goes to this layout. I don't have any button that says go to this layout. So what you can do to protect your investment, right? So if code is not well maintained and documented, then people will look at it and say, I don't know how this works. I'm going to just rewrite it,
Mhm.
right? And so you're losing your investment. Or so what you could do is you could write a script that says this script is to document the indirection of like, or the reference of this layout. So you then add a script that exits at the very beginning, and you had some comments in it that says this layout is being used by the AWS,
Mhm.
integration to, look up data in this in the system from an external system, right? So now you have a reference in there, and someone who comes after you runs inspector and looks at it and says, oh, this layout is referenced. Where's it referenced? Oh, in the script. You look at the script, there's a comment there. So it's clear as to what it's being used for, etc. And you could, do anything else you want there. But
So that would be
future
it. And
proof.
yeah, I was just, before you started explaining that, I was thinking, yeah, how could we, because, we're doing so much web integration with the data API, and of course you can't change script names and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's what I was thinking was how can we prevent or somehow get the system to know that this name is not supposed to be changed. Uh,
right.
and so that if somebody does change it, you get somehow notified that it was changed and flagged like, hey, this layout name was changed and it's not supposed to be changed. So, but that
Yeah.
what you were describing probably is the best way to do it is just at least you get kind of flagged when that changes and then you can see the explanation that where it's being referenced and needs to stay the same name. So,
Yep, yep. So you have the notifications. You can also document it so
yeah.
that again it's there when you click to it to see it. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's one of the big challenges with the web integration stuff is that, I'm so used to working in FileMaker where you can change names of fields and layouts and scripts and everything. everything stays connected and doesn't break. And where we've got these integrations going on, and sometimes I forget and I change a field name and break my website integration because I forgot that that field name needed to stay the same or needed to be changed
Yeah.
on the website. So
I mean, the sophistication and complexity of the systems that can be built can also be gotten to that point, even with FileMaker, where I can set field by name, or I can perform a script by name, or I can go to a
yeah,
layout by calculation. So you can also have fragility there. But again, you have a way to uh, document. So like the advice I like to give to people is, I know that you like to move quickly. You got your music on and you're coding away and you're in the groove, but take the time to document things where you think, oh, I came up with this cool technique. I'm doing all this in direction. I'm passing in the parameters for what fields need to get updated. It's taking the parameters and setting them by name. Well, if there's no reference to that field, then someone else comes along and says, "Hey, this is not referenced anywhere. Let me just delete it."
yeah,
Right? So you need to document those things. Take the time, slow down, document those things, and it's for future proofing your future self and anyone else that comes after it. So, all right. Well, that's that's pretty much my discussion for today. I have maybe just a kind of a wrap up review of what we covered, and we looked at pretty much all these things. I mean, again, there's more stuff to look at. There's a lot under there that you know um,
Let's see how we
that
get that.
we might have skipped or not looked at. But yeah, so yeah, that's it. I mean, it's free. It's available on the Beeswax site, and and then just as a conclusion, this is my contact info if you want to send me an email or see me on LinkedIn or whatnot. But yeah,
yeah, that was great. Definitely thank you so much for coming and presenting for us. I know we didn't have a big audience today, but like I mentioned before, we'll put it on YouTube and hopefully we'll get some views on there and help you spread the word and get a little more exposure if we can at least help out that way. Uh,
yeah.
but really enjoyed having you. Uh,
And likewise, Ron, it was a pleasure to be here to chat with this group. But it was great to see you in person at Full Access. I think
yeah,
the different levels of engagement that we have as a community. Yes, you can hear it on the recording. You can participate in the live discussion like this one, but in person, there's a whole other beauty to that interaction when you can have lunch with somebody and discuss a topic further, etc. So
yeah,
it's great. Yeah.
there's
And
definitely
appreciate all
nothing.
your hard work as well, too. Yours and Alex to contributing to the success of
Definitely all
Full
wrong.
Access. Yeah. So,
Yeah, yeah, there's definitely nothing like, when we get together in person, that is an amazing feeling. And,
yep.
for the benefit of those who might watch this on YouTube, joining us live in a group like this is a step in that direction. So if you've never joined a FileMaker developers group live, for anybody who's watching and not had the courage to engage with the community yet, please do. The FileMaker community is so giving and so welcoming, and so we'd love to have you. And so would any of the other groups, whether it's this group or any other. Please get involved and show up and say hi and let us know you're out there. So hopefully we can work hard at getting that message out there a little more.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Ron. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Goodbye. Have a great day wherever you are.
You too. Thanks, Vince.
Thanks. Bye.